My name is Mike Duncan. I am the NSERC Industrial Research Chair for Colleges in Precision Agriculture and Environmental Technologies at Niagara College. I've been working with Doug Aspinall and the OMAFRA people for about a good 8 years now. What I presented today came about over, probably the last 4 years, trying to understand the problems of creating management zones and how they're related to topography and how they're related to various soil factors in the ground. It was a technique called YPI, and it's actually based on using many years of yield data, and it's a very simple calculation. There's a video for it, which can be found on the net and will be made available through the crop portal shortly. The calculation basically puts the power of management zones into the average farmer's hands, because the calculation is so simple. It's just basically for each year of a set of years of data that you would have, whether that particular cell in your field is above or below the average. And if you count that, you end up with a number, and the numbers tend to cluster, and those clusters become your management zones. And so there's a possibility that one cell in your field never exceeded the average for that year. So those are the really underperforming areas, and some part of your field, there's a keener in every class, overperformed every year, and those are the major and high performing areas of your field. Every farmer knows he has them, or he or she knows they have them. It's just a question of this reinforces the notion that they're actually there, and you can actually operate on them. So in the simplest form of using management zones, you would take those zones and simply apply less fertilizer to the areas that are never going to perform anyway, and more to the areas that are going to overperform. So instead of taking a blanket, a blanket average aimed at the average level of yield, you would take more. You rob from the, effectively I guess it's pretty mean, you rob from the poor and give to the rich. And that basically keeps your bottom line the same, but gives you better performance overall. That's one simplistic way of looking at it. So this kind of technology we're building into a crop portal, which is part of a project that's being funded by the GFO and the Growing Forward 2 program, Canadian government. And the upshot will be to provide farmers with effectively a data pipeline where they can take their data, take their raw data, upload it to the portal, and take it through the steps you need in order to do management zone calculations. So it's like having your own IT department based at the college. So you can upload your data, process your data, see how it's working, and there may be a variety of free or, at some point they might be paid for tools that are part of the end, but they'll inevitably all be low cost, because we're running this as a research project initially anyway, and I'd actually like to keep it that way and keep the those financial things out. But basically, it's to give farmers access to tools that really give them make their businesses stronger. See, part of the philosophy of colleges is not so much for us to make money, but for us to help a company make more money, increase the tax base, hire more employees, that basic, government funding story. So the crop portal should be ready. Well, I don't know if any work of art is ever finished, but we will probably present it at this conference next year in full. So whatever tools we have at that point, we'll be able to detail the whole processing pipeline, and by then it'll be fairly stable, and there'll be a lot, many acres will have passed through it, and hopefully a lot of happy customers and friends. The crop portal itself is at a website called globalfarmmanager.com and .ca. It's not that informative yet. It still looks like a student project, but it's going to rapidly advance as we move forward. I think March 27th we have a huge meeting out in Ridgetown where we're going to hammer out some management zones, and so a lot of things will be added in. At the moment, we're still working on the core functionality and trying to make it stable. But the next component is the knowledge transfer component, which is getting the information out there, how these algorithms actually work. So rather than hiding the details from the farmer, give them the details. If they want to build it on their own, go ahead. But I mean, it's easier to just use this thing. Yeah, it'll be a huge, like conferences like this are like a huge opportunity for us to get the word out. I mean, we have, you know, we had, what, 100 people sitting in the room? The room was packed, and people standing by the door. That was awesome. And that's exactly what we need. And that's exactly what will get the word out and get the project going.
This video is brought to you by Farms.com.